Hey, it's Donnie A. Have you ever wanted to learn how to play guitar? Maybe you tried to learn when you were younger, but you didn't know where to start. You thought it was too hard and you gave up. Well, I've been there too. I did that a few times before I actually finally learned how to play guitar. And I'm here to tell you, it's not as hard as you may think it is. You just need to know where to start, and you need to have a desire and a determination. You don't need to have any musical background. You don't need to have any musical knowledge. You didn't need to grow up in a musical family or anything like that. All you need is a determination, and you can learn this instrument. And the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. The majority of music is chord based. And what that means is the songs are all written around chords. And what a chord is it's just three or more notes played at once. For example, this is a G chord. Well, the G chord is one of, if not the most popular chords in music. So if you knew how to play the G chord and you knew how to transition to a few other chords, you could honestly play hundreds of songs. And that's what I wanted to tell you today about how you should get started. But before we jump into chords or anything like that, I want to tell you about my story and how I got started. So I'm 34 years old right now. I didn't start playing guitar until I was 25 years old. So I've been playing for eight and a half years. And it's the most fun I've ever had. It's the best thing I ever did. But back when I was 8 years old, I asked for a guitar for Christmas. I thought it was cool. I wanted to learn how to play guitar. After I got the guitar, my mom brought me to a lesson. And at that lesson, I was there for, I believe, a half hour, and I had an instructor, and he taught me one thing, and you could probably guess it. He taught me how to play a G chord. For the full half hour, he taught me how to play a G chord and how to fret a G chord. And you can imagine as an 8-year-old, that's boring. Well, I think that's boring as an adult, too. I recommend that you start learning songs immediately because songs are what music is all about, and it's how you're going to have fun and stay interested. But during my teenage years, I started getting more into my own music, right? More things that I liked. You know, Sublime became a huge influence on me. They were one of my favorite bands. And I came home from college one year, and, you know, I was like, I'm gonna learn how to play guitar. And I was probably about 20 years old. And when I was 20 years old, I got my mom's guitar. So I didn't grow up in a musical family. My dad never really listened to music. My mom liked music. She listened to music, all that 70s stuff and everything. But she always had a guitar, and she always wanted to learn guitar. She knew a few chords. She knew how to play like the basic pentatonic scale, but she never really fully dove into it. So I certainly wouldn't say that it was a musical family by any means. I didn't have anybody, pushing me to learn or anything like that. But when I was 20, I got her guitar out that she had at the house, and I was determined to play What I Got by Sublime. I didn't understand that song is based off of two chords. It's based off a D chord, and it's based off a G chord. So those are beginner chords. Those are two of the chords that I'm going to suggest that you learn first. All I heard when I heard that song was, I wasn't super musically inclined, but you hear the picking, and I didn't know what that was called or what that was or anything, but this is how it goes. Pretty much does that the entire song with a little variation, gets a little sloppier and stuff like that. I know how to play it now, obviously, but I didn't know it then. But what I want to tell you is that you don't need to learn everything perfect. If I started out and was like, I'm going to learn What I Got, and I learned an easier version of it, because there's plenty of easy versions out there of songs that still fit the bill and still sound like the songs, especially if you add singing to it and you add lyrics to it. Most people aren't going to know the difference. The only people who probably will really know the difference are other guitar players, which who cares what they think. I want to show you an easier version that if I learned it like this, maybe I would have stuck with it, but this is the picking pattern. And then an easier version would have just been to strum the chords. Like this. and there's no changes besides just those two chords the entire song. So, if I learned it like that and played along, maybe I would have been more inspired to continue to play. But I didn't do that. I didn't look things up and quickly gave up, went back to college, went to more concerts in my early 20s. And by the time I was 25, I was finally determined to learn guitar. Every time I had seen a guitar, even when I was little, but especially when I was a teenager in my early 20s, if I ever saw a guitar, I just had this burning desire inside me to want to play it, but I never put any effort into it. But it was always like, I wish I could pick that up and play it. So if you feel that way, then stick around. I'm going to tell you an easy way that you can get started on guitar, and then I'm going to link you to another lesson. I'll teach you how to play these chords, and I'll teach you how to play a song, and you can get started right now. And it really is that easy, and it's all, I'm going to keep saying this, but how much you put into this is how much you're going to get out of it. So when I was 25, I finally started learning to play guitar. I honestly got obsessed with it. I picked it up every day. I used my mom's old Takamine guitar that she still had. And, after I was about a month or so in, my brother bought me a guitar for Christmas, a Rogue guitar, which we still have. And, I learned on that, played on that thing for like a year or so. And then I bought a nicer acoustic for myself. And clearly I've bought a few more guitars since then. And since then, I've released an album. I've released a single. They're out there on the streaming platform. Links in the description if you want to be the only one to listen to them. And, I've played live shows by myself. I've been in multiple bands. This is one of the best things I've ever did. It's the most fun I've ever had. It's one of the best stress relievers. I can't recommend it enough. And how you get started doing this is really, you just want to learn chords at first, right? And you can start playing around with scales and everything, but I'm not going to get into that at all, because I think the best thing that you can do on guitar to get interested and get started is to start playing songs as soon as you can. So I want to recommend 5 chords that you can learn. And if you learn these 5 chords, I'm not lying, you can learn hundreds of songs. And you can look up beginner versions. I'm going to tell you how you can look up songs, look up chord sheets, look up tab sheets, look up YouTube lessons, and you'll be able to go, figure out how to surf the internet and find these songs and learn them on the internet. And that's how I learned. I learned everything through YouTube and guitar, chord sheets and tab sheets that I found on the internet. And that's how I learned pretty much everything. It's amazing what's out there. So the 5 chords, I just want to tell you, I'm not going to show you how to play them right now. I'll link you to a video at the end of this that you can click into and watch that video, and you can learn how to play these 5 chords in detail, but I'll tell you what they are. So it's a G chord, a C chord, a D chord, an E minor chord, and an A minor chord. And those 5 chords all go together well. They're found in a lot of the same songs, and you can honestly learn hundreds of songs with these. So you learn these 5 chords and you get them under your fingers and you start working on transitioning with them, go back and forth with them. And then you kind of work on your strumming hand a little bit, and you'll be able to muddle through some songs at first. And if you keep doing this daily or 5 days a week for 10, 15 minutes, you're going to progress very quickly. With those 5 chords, you can start looking up, you can look up things on Google. So you can look up beginner songs with a G chord, and it'll pull up, blog posts and whatever else that people have made that basically say, like, these are the top 30 songs in the key of G, or these are the top songs that use a G chord. So you're going to get famous songs that are easy to play, and you'll be able to pick out which ones that you want, and then you can go look up song lessons for them. So the way you would look up song lessons on YouTube is all you have to type in is like how to play What I Got by Sublime, easy version or beginner version. You can type that in, and when you type that in, it's going to bring up song lessons, and people are going to make easier versions for beginners because they know there's a lot of people out there that are looking for easier versions of things because you don't have to play everything perfect. And another thing you can do, since you have the YouTube lesson, if you want to get the chord sheet for something, you can go type in What I Got by Sublime chords, and you type in chords at the end of it, and that's going to give you a chord sheet. So a chord sheet is going to be A chord sheet is just the lyrics listed, and above the lyrics there's the chords. So, for what I got, it would just be the lyrics, and then it would just be D to G, D to G, D to G for a chord sheet for that. But you can also look up tabs. Once you get more into this, you're gonna want to look up tabs, because it basically tells you, you have these frets right here. So this is your first fret, second fret, third fret. It basically tells you the string and the fret number, so you can use those tabs to find your way around the fretboard and learn solos and stuff like that. So if you're going to do that, you would type in What I Got by Sublime tabs, and then it's going to give you tab sheets that people made. There aren't chord sheets and tab sheets and lessons for every song, but pretty much every popular song, you're going to be able to find it. So you'll be able to find everything you need online, and it's really amazing. And you can organize it however you want. I was anal about this stuff, so I tried to write everything down. I got like 4 3-ring binders, but I would literally write everything down. So one of the first songs I learned was Last Kiss by Pearl Jam, because it's just 4 chords, and it's 4 of the 5 chords that I suggested you learn today. And it's a G, an E minor, a C, and a D. And, I would write that out, write a strumming pattern out if they told me how to do that. Then, Horse with No Name is on here by America. Most of that song is like a 2-chord song, so that's a good one to, really feel like you're playing something. But if I was going to play Last Kiss, it's just... So the entire song just repeats like that. Just those 4 chords, that same strumming pattern the entire time. So it's an example of an easy song that you can learn. And there's plenty out there like that. If you don't like Pearl Jam or you want to learn something else, then you're going to find this stuff if you start looking for it. So that's really where you need to start on guitar. If you want to learn guitar and you want to start learning guitar, then watch this video and I'll teach you how to play those chords and how to fret them, how to hold a pick, everything you're going to need to know to get started and switch through. And then at the end of that lesson, I'll teach you how to play What I Got by Sublime. Sound good? If you like this lesson, please hit subscribe. Talk to you soon.